Okay. Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Post this to,
Hey, that's right. Pace yourself. Hey, man, you think I'm playing horseshoes here or something?
hang on 1 second. Posting this to Twitter.
Hello.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hey, guys. Hey, everyone. How you guys doing?
You want your hide, hon? Oh my god.
Okay, let me get my horse here. Hope everyone's having a great day today. Welcome back to the flip side. Well, thank you, Cube, for the super chat. Thanks, dude. How you been? Nice sniping on the Falco Pearl. Thank you.
This ain't real.
Thank you, Drifter Kids. Yeah, that was a really good shot. I got him on my first shot there.
Oh, hell. You trying to make me uncomfortable? What? You want something from me?
Red? Wait, what? What do you mean, Blinded Eagle?
Jesus.
Hope you had a nice vacation. Thank you, Far. Thank you, dude. And thank you, Arya Akiva, if I'm reading your name correctly. Thank you for the super chat. You guys want to know something really stupid, though? The last part of Black Ops I uploaded, like, half an hour ago, I actually got copyright claim for the nightclub music. I did. And I didn't cut out the nightclub music because it would have been stupid. Because imagine going through a silent nightclub, it would have made no sense. So I just took the copyright claim. But it was just, this copyright abuse needs to stop. Hey, Pro, Chad, does Modern Warfare 22 campaign still work? Because I want to play a modern Call of Duty before PS4 support ends in April. I really do. What do you mean PS4 support ends in April? This is the first time I'm hearing about what's going on in April exactly. And yeah, Modern Warfare 2022, yeah, the campaign still works. All the campaigns still work. Thank you, so, yeah, Yagurama. Oh, your name was Cayman before, right? Yeah, I heard that Jack Doherty got arrested. I'm actually going to do a crazy current events video tomorrow, but the crazy current events video that I got for tomorrow, it's going to be covering, this ridiculous story that actually happened, recently. It happened in Oklahoma, but, basically, there was this, 7-Eleven. And in this 7-Eleven, this girl at the counter, this guy tried to come in and pay with a fake $100 bill, and she told him that the bill was, fake $100, is counterfeit. And what the guy did was he started throwing things at her. Then he went around the counter and started attacking her, and he actually grabbed her by the neck. And what she did was she actually took out her handgun and she shot the guy. And what ended up happening is she didn't get arrested or anything because in Oklahoma that the state recognized that as self-defense. But what happened was 7-Eleven fired her, and they said that she violated the policy of not of having guns in the workplace. And so she was getting attacked. The guy was trying to kill her. He grabbed her by the neck, and she shot him. And now she got fired by 7-Eleven for that. So that's the stupidity of some of these companies. That's what I'll say about that. Yeah, look it up. It happened recently. There's this girl that was getting strangled in this store, and she shot the guy that was trying to strangle her, and she got fired by 7-Eleven for doing that. 7-Eleven is about to lose a lot of business in the South. Oh, I agree with you 100%. Especially a lot of people in the South are very pro-gun, and like a story like that is going to spread like wildfire. Like that is 7-Eleven is going to lose a lot of customers. I don't want to, I barely go to 7-Eleven as it is, but right now I don't ever want to go back there after they do something, they treat their workers like that. Yeah, no, I don't. When did you send this message, Blinded Eagle? Reboot Makarov sucked. He did, yeah. Yagurama is my handle name. My username is still Kick Hoppa Cayman Rider. Yeah, these whole what YouTube is doing with these names, I just personally found it like a bit confusing. And it's like, I know they changed it now where like you can't even see how many subscribers somebody has. Like it's like, oh, you have to click on their name to see how many subs they have. Copyright is purely handled by AI, so these claims are automatic and almost never from an actual person until you try to dispute the claim on that. I get that, Lendon. It's like an automated bot system, like it just gets detected by that. But the problem with that, Lendon, is, and thank you for, sponsoring my channel for, over 3 years, dude. But the problem is that even when I dispute it, most of the time the companies reject it. So even when it's a, clear, copyright, copyright abuse, the companies still reject it a lot of times. No, I don't even know what happens in the Black Ops 7 campaign. I don't really know. The only thing I know about the Black Ops 7 campaign is you fight a giant Harper. That's the only thing I know. But I really don't even know what's going on or any of that stuff. So, don't spoil it for me. I'm going to play it when I get to it. But if it really is as bad as you guys are telling me it is, then I'm going to rage during it. So.
What the hell?
Oh yeah, I'm going to do more Assassin's Creed playthroughs. But about the rejection, Lendon, I don't even think that the rejection is coming from a real person, because well, technically it is, but they're not even reading it. They will just, click on it, they'll see, like, they'll appeal, and they'll just reject it. They won't even look at the appeal or anything like that, so that's basically it. But, Cayman, what was that you were telling me about PS4 support ending in April? What are you talking about? Can you explain that a little more? What are you talking about exactly? Oh, hey, Dark Space, what's up, man? How you been? And about Black Ops 7, the people that wrote the story for Black Ops 7, these are the same people that made, that Treyarch? Are these like the same people that made like World at War and Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2? Are these the exact same, developers, really? Thank you, Marsoff. Hey, Pat, are you going to review Call of Duty Black Ops 7 someday? I don't know if I'm going to review it. I'm going to review it probably as I play through it. So as I play through it, I'll give it my opinion. Thank you, Marcel, for the super chat. If I have time to review it, because I'm going to get the... Right after I finish Black Ops 7, we're doing Yakuza Kiwami. So right after, we're going to do Black Ops 7, and then after Black Ops 7, it's going to be Yakuza Kiwami. And I still have to finish Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei, I still have, like, 2 or 3 parts. I know I'm, like, 70% through, because that's what the game says. So I still have to... I haven't uploaded, like, a Ghost of Yotei part in, like, almost 2 weeks, so I still got to finish that. Oh, thank you, Mr. J. Wilson. $100 donation. Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. Special shout out there to Mr. J. Wilson. Hey, Patrick, how are you? You think Rockstar delayed GTA 6 so they also plan some more releases like Max Payne, etc.? Take-Two mentioned a lot of planned re-releases a couple of years ago, I think. Did you know Phil had 2 arms when he hopped in the truck in Liberty City Stories? I hope you were... good. Oh yeah, he did. I wasn't really paying attention to his arm, but yeah, you're right, he was. He did have 2 arms in that scene. But I don't know if Rockstar is really gonna release, any more re-releases. Like, I know the Max Payne remake is coming. The only thing we might hope for is maybe GTA 4 on PS5 and Xbox Series X. But that's, that's about it. Thank you, Mr. J. Wilson. Thank you, dude. What would I do to solve the copyright abuse? First of all, the thing that I would do is, the first thing I would change is I would change it that companies only have a week to respond, not 30 days. Because the thing is when you dispute a copyright claim, right? the vast majority of copyright claims that I've won, because I've won copyright claims before, but the vast majority of copyright claims that I've won, like 95% of them, I've won them not because the people agreed with me that it was copyright abuse, but it's because they just never replied. That's basically what happened. So when you submit an appeal for a copyright claim, the person who made the claim against you has basically 30 days to respond, and they're the ones who decide in the end. And then you can, submit it, forward it to YouTube after that, but then they can strike you, and you can get into some serious problems with your channel. But what happens is I have to wait like 30 days. Like, do you guys remember that video I made? It was like 4.5 years ago. There's a video I made like 4.5 years ago. It's one of my most popular videos, like over 1 million views. And the video was who really killed CJ's mom. It was like a lore video I made like 4 years ago on San Andreas, and that video actually got copyright claimed. It was actually Rockstar that actually copyright claimed me, and what they copyright claimed me for is the GTA San Andreas introduction, like that 20-minute cutscene there that takes place before the main game. They copyright claimed me for it because I used footage from that, and I made an appeal, and then they never responded. 30 days passed and I won it. So I would change it where they have a week to respond to you. And for example, I remember like 2 years ago, YouTube actually did that 2 years ago, where they did it where the copyright people have a week to respond to you instead of like a month. But then they changed it after that. They went back to the month. I don't know why they did that, but that's at least one of the things I would do to start fixing the copyright at the start. But it really is broken. And also, the only thing that could really change this is there some kind of law. Really, that's the only thing that can change. Not even YouTube, a law, because if there is some kind of clear definition of fair use, because fair use is a very gray area. Oh yeah, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I'm gonna do that next year, so we'll do that before GTA 6 comes out. It's on my list of games to do. It's definitely a playthrough I got planned. They should make it a day. I think it's ridiculous anyone can basically take down a video. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Dark Space. Oh, $200 donation from Yagurama Cayman. Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. Everyone give a special shout out there to Yaguruma. Am I reading your name correctly? Thank you, man. Thank you for the donation. Apparently, PS4 support ending means that some PlayStation Network features for new games will be shut down, and online services will also be shut down. On the other hand, I want to be honest, I'm still struggling with depression. Plus, I'm really stressed out due to big assignments with my 2 classes. I hope that everything's okay with you, Yaguruma. If you want, you can talk to me anytime. Just let me know. We can talk whenever you want. I just hope everything's okay, and we can play a game together also. But I hope everything's okay with you. But so when PS4 support is shutting down, what is does that mean that all PS4 online games aren't going to work anymore? Because that's what I'm getting a bit confused on. What exactly is being shut down? But thank you for that donation, man. I really appreciate it. Welcome back, Pro. How was your vacation? Do you have the greatest time? Did you all do all the new missions for the mansions to get money? No, I didn't even do the mansion missions for the DLC. I know they came out, but they came out when I was on vacation, and the reason I didn't post them is because all the other YouTubers already posted them. All the other GTA YouTubers posted them, and so there was really no point of me making a video at that point. I might what I'm probably gonna do is I'll probably save the mansion missions for the stream, the GTA Online stream. So when I do the GTA Online stream, we'll probably just play it through there. That's probably what we'll do. I'm also gonna do my GTA stream tomorrow, by the way, guys. So tomorrow I'll do my GTA stream instead of Sunday, because I know I said that everything would go back to normal in the streaming schedule this week, but it was just Sunday. I'm just doing something again. But after this, weekend, it's gonna be we're gonna be Fridays for Red Dead, Sundays for GTA. So tomorrow we'll do GTA stream. Did I see the Polish Parliament discussed about GTA 6? Yes, I did see that. And people thought that was fake, but it's real. As somebody who speaks Polish, I can tell you the subtitles were accurate. When the guy was actually complaining in the Polish Parliament about GTA 6's delay, he actually was saying what the subtitles were saying. So it is not fake. It is very much real. Pro, will you play Where Winds Meet Mafia update. What's where wins meet? If you're asking me if I'm gonna do the Mafia, the old country, stream like the free ride, yeah, I'll come back to it. We'll play it. Thank you, Suleiman. Suleiman for the super chat. Thank you, J2K1. That's Jesus, right? That man, I can't get used to this new handle thing, like the new YouTube handle thing. A lot of people have their names changed. Do you think it was not fair for Germany to be viewed as a major threat or an evil country from propaganda during World War One? Here's my view of Germany during World War One. Germany weren't the good guys in World War One, but they weren't the evil guys either. That's basically my view of Germany in World War One. In World War Two, Germany clearly was evil. You know, they were the bad guys in World War Two. In World War One, they weren't necessarily the good guys, but they weren't necessarily the total bad guys either. They were just somewhere in between. That's basically what it was. And the thing is, Germany in World War One was just as bad as France was in World War One. So like Germany and France, you know, for example, when it comes to World War One, both of them had equal blame for the war. So it's like both of them were just warmongers. So it was, in Russia was a warmonger in World War One as well. So it was like all of the countries were just imperialist in World War One. It's a bunch of greedy monarchies. You know, all of them were just in general bad. Britain was bad too. Britain entered a little bit later when Germany invaded Belgium because they had an alliance with Belgium. But Britain was pretty imperialist as well and pretty bad. So it was really, all of the countries in World War One were really bad. There really weren't any good guys in World War One. Really weren't. The only thing that I can think of as like good guys in World War One, there's like a few countries that weren't really imperialist warmongers. They were just more like victims trying to defend themselves. Like Serbia, for example, was like one country. It wasn't really like a warmongering country. It was just like harassed by Austria-Hungary and attacked, so they were kind of more innocent. I'm trying to think of another country in World War. Belgium, a little bit more innocent, but Belgium also was a very large colonial power at the same time too. So while they maybe were not as warmongering in Europe, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were a totally innocent country either. World War One was just a bit more of a complicated conflict, where in World War One everybody just sucks equally. You know, they were all just in World War Two it's clear Allies good guys, Axis bad guys, but World War One is just it's a more complicated subject. It's just it's just a lot of the countries, all of them just did bad things. They all entered the war for territory. That's primarily what they entered the war for. They entered the war for territory. They basically take each other's colonies and take each other's lands. That was the motivations every country had really in World War One. Let me see. Oh, I missed a bunch of donations. Sorry here. I hope I answered your question on World War One. Going from Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 7 would be bad, pro. Like, so bad. Like, well, people are telling me that I'm gonna rage, but I guess we'll see. Thank you, Extreme, to Swagger. And your name was Zombie beforehand, right? I can't get used to this new YouTube handle. I remember you guys by your avatars, but that's like, yeah, this is just, this new YouTube handle thing is weird. Do you, know you get money off when the mansions come out, just like 2 millions off and get 1 million for Rockstar? Yeah, I know you get like a discount. I don't know what the exact discount was, but you just told me it, but I knew you get some kind of discount. But I will, play those missions on the stream. So on the stream we'll do those missions. Thank you, Brandon. Oh, and a $50 donation from Blinded Eagle. Thank you, Blinded Eagle. I still can't believe that Red Dead Redemption is going to phones of all things. And for the craziest thing is that it's any iPhone with at least iOS 18. If they do this for sure, can do GTA 4, but it'll only have to be on a newer iPhone. Also, I texted you last night. Oh, I'll take a look at your message later, Blinded Eagle. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I will respond to you. I'll respond to you later tonight. I promise you on that. Yeah, I'm sorry. So last night I was just like really tired, and you want to know the crazy thing is, last night, you know how long I hadn't slept in? I hadn't slept in like what, 27 hours? I know that might sound crazy, but I hadn't slept in like a full day, like literally a full day. And last night I went to bed at like 10:30. And I woke up today at like 8 a.m. So it was like I actually woke up in the morning for once, where I wake up like really late. And I know I shouldn't stay up for like a full day, but basically what happened was I had gotten back from my trip in Las Vegas, and I been in Las Vegas for like a week, and I got back from my trip in Las Vegas yesterday. And then that same night, I actually had a flight at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was gonna, visit my family for Thanksgiving. and Christmas. So, you know, here with my family right now in New York. But I was cleaning around my apartment. I just wanted my apartment to be organized and clean before I, you know, leave. And so I was cleaning, you know, most of the day yesterday. And then, you know, the plane was like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I said, screw it, I'm not even gonna, you know, sleep. I'll just, you know, wait until, you know, the plane, and then I'll just sleep on the plane. I couldn't even sleep on the plane. I couldn't. I was tired on the plane, but I just couldn't. I can't sleep sitting down. And then, and so then I got back, my parents picked me up from the airport, and I got to my parents' house at like, it was like, 1 p.m.? That's like when I got there, and I was like tired, but I just couldn't sleep. So you know that feeling when you're exhausted, you're tired, but you just can't sleep. I basically had that feeling the whole day, and then I, you know, went to sleep at like, you know, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then I woke up today at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So that was, yeah, just sleeping just all over the place. Pat, thanks for watching the Shy Chernobyl video. Those guys did piss you off. Anyway, can you react to the other video where he collects contaminated radioactive water from previous expedition? What? Why is he doing that? Thank you for the super chat, there, Vertigo. Thank you, man. Basically, games still function on the PS4, but they won't have certain features enabled. Oh, what might those features be? What, you mean, like DLC and stuff like that? Is it true that Call of Duty Ghosts was a bad game? Half true. So when it comes to Call of Duty Ghosts, Call of Duty Ghosts, I have a love-hate relationship with that game. I do. So when it comes to Call of Duty Ghosts, I absolutely hated the multiplayer. Like, the multiplayer on Ghosts, like, I hated it. Like, I really didn't like it. It was just didn't enjoy it at all. Just hated it. However, though, when it came to the single player I actually really did enjoy. I think most people that played the single player in Ghosts said it was a good one. So Ghosts had a pretty strong story. It was actually a very good one. And also Extinction Mode. Extinction Mode, some people loved it, some people hated it. I actually liked Extinction Mode. I did. I enjoyed it. And what I liked about Extinction Mode is it wasn't zombies for once, where it's always zombies, zombie crap this. Extinction Mode was like a Infinity Ward's new, you know, take on zombies, where, and I wish they would have kept Extinction Mode in, like, future, like, Modern Warfare games and stuff like that, but Extinction Mode, what it basically was, is there was, like, this alien, you know, parasite that was, like, coming into Earth, and, like, these aliens are, like, you know, it's like a monster. It's basically, they're kind of like small alien monsters, and you're basically trying to clear out the infestation and stuff like that, and you're going through the area and just killing all the alien parasites, and they're attacking you, and I actually really enjoyed that, and Extinction did have a story, so it actually did have its own storyline, and I did actually fairly enjoy it. So when it comes to Call of Duty Ghosts, I'll give the game an 8 out of 10. That's what I would do, because, and 8 out of 10, great single player, great co-op mode. Extinction was great too. Multiplayer sucked, so that's why instead of a 10 out of 10, I just give it a 8. But that's basically what I think about Call of Duty Ghosts. Thank you, Exquisite Vibes, for the super chat. Let me see here. Should Jack Dorkey get life in prison? What did he do exactly? I know he got arrested. Did he, it was like, he had, like, drugs on him. Wasn't that what he got arrested for? Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Dalmatian fan, for the super chat.
I mean, I don't have a moment to spare. I'm robbing, I'm rustling, I'm killing folk. I can't do half the jobs I hear about. If I had more time, I'd be the
Pro, someone made Kanan Lynch voice lines for the Kanan Lynch mods in Left 4 Dead 2. You gotta tell me what the name of this mod is, and I gotta download it and play it one day on the stream. It's only Kanan Lynch that are playable characters? Like, there's no one else that's playable in the, from the Kanan Lynch games? And he resisted? What happened with the Mr. Saints Godzilla fan video reaction? I'm still gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, dude. I just haven't, I was planning on doing it before my trip in Las Vegas, and I just didn't get the chance to do it, and then I was, you know, away for like a week, but I will still do it, Greens. And Mr. Saints fan Godzilla knows I'm gonna react to his video. He's perfectly fine with me doing a, you know, a reaction video to it, so I'm gonna upload it, like, you know, I'm gonna upload it either the end of this month or, like, early December, but I'm gonna get on it. I promise you, I will have it this year. So before the end of this year, I will have that video up. Just give me a little time. Next weekend, though, next Friday, we're getting another lore video. So if you guys are excited for lore videos, next Friday, 100% the lore video is coming out next Friday. And the lore video that I have coming out on Friday, it's going to be talking about the story of the priest and the reporter in GTA Liberty City Stories, and, you know, explaining the background and, you know, everything that was going on with that. So if you're ever wondering who that creepy priest was that Tony was talking to, I'm going to explain that whole story about that in a lore video. I think you're gonna hate Black Ops 7 Story, Pro. I think I will too. People keep telling me it sucks. Just guys, just please don't spoil Black Ops 7 Story for me. I know people tell me that it sucks, but I want to see what happens. My reaction the first time, and we'll I guess we'll just see how bad the story is. I'm expecting the story is gonna be pretty bad, but it's but I guess we'll see. I'll get to it, and we'll see how bad it is. What does America do better than Poland, Pro? I don't live in Poland, so I can't I can't say that. I have Polish citizenship, but I don't live there. But one thing personally that I can say, and this is as this is my, I guess I might be biased in this, my view as an American. I think that America has better gun rights than Poland. Poland is a more pro-gun country than like some other Western European countries, so it's like more gun friendly than like Western Europe, for example. But it is it's not a very totally gun friendly country. America is a more gun friendly country. That's plus in my view. I'm more of a pro-gun person, so that's one thing I can think of that America does better. A lot of electronics are also more cheaper in America than they are in Poland. In Poland, a lot of electronics are also much more expensive than they are in America. Oh, thank you, Zay, Mac. Thank you for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, dude. I missed a super chat? Hold on. I'm sorry. If I missed a super chat, I'm sorry. Let me look. Whose super chat did I miss? Oh, how is Poland English proficiency, Patrick? You used to be suppressor oppressor. That was your name, right? But it's the new YouTube handle thing, because I remember you by your avatar. Thank you for the super chat. In Poland, I know that most young people in Poland speak English now. Where, like, 20 years ago it wasn't like that, but, like, most young people speak English now. I have a friend in Poland that I play Call of Duty with him on PlayStation, and when I speak to him in Polish, because if I spoke to him in English, we can kind of understand each other, but there's, like, a few grammar mistakes here and there, where if I speak to him in Polish, we just understand each other better. So anything interesting on your way traveling trip? Well, there was I had a lot of fun at the Good Springs event in Nevada, but I will just say one thing is I felt like I was robbed of a day, because like me and my friends, we were planning on actually hanging out there. The first day was awesome, but the second day sucked at the the Fallout event. And the reason the second day sucked, and and I've noticed that none of the YouTubers are really covering this, because like I've seen a few YouTubers talking about the Fallout event, but none of them really have covered this. But on the second day, there was like a really bad storm. Like it was just really rainy, like really, really. And I'm not talking like a little like drizzle here. Like I'm talking just pouring. Like it was just absolutely pouring, and then it was windy, and it sucked. And me personally, I don't care about the cold. I live in a very cold state in the Midwest, so I don't really care about the cold. But I hate the rain. I hate rain. I hate, getting wet. I hate that. And so that was, I got soaked. Absolutely soaked. And the thing is, when it was raining, people weren't really, doing anything. Everybody was just huddling underneath, like, the tents and, like, the little, like, I don't know what those things are called. Like, little scaffolding things that, little roof things. But, yeah, that was basically that. It was like there was just so much rain on the second day. And, what basically happened is, me and my two friends, we were actually parked like a mile away. So we parked like a mile away, and then we actually walked all the way to Good Springs. And what happened is, because I was hanging out with some of the other Legion people, because I was dressed up as Volpes. And what happened is that the Legion guys that I was hanging out with, we actually went back to their car, and we were just sitting in their car, and we were just waiting for the rain to end, but the rain wasn't ending, and then we all got pissed, and all of us decided to basically go home. And one of the Legion guys that was driving that car, I asked him, hey, can you pick up my friend and just drive him like a mile in that direction, and he'll just come over here and pick me up? Like, could you really do that? Because that would really help us out, and we wouldn't have to, drive through this storm. And the guy was like, oh yeah, that's fine. And it was cool. And so the guy helped us out, and he drove my friend like, a mile out, and then, he came back with the car and picked me up. But that was, that second day of the Fallout event, and the YouTubers, like I said, I haven't really covered it, I guess because they didn't want to make the Fallout event look bad. But it was like that second day of the Fallout event, it just sucked because the rain. It wasn't necessarily anything bad at the event itself, it was just the rain. and I didn't even get to see Walter Goggins, like the guy who plays the Ghoul. He was there that day. I didn't even get to see him because I left early because I couldn't stand the rain anymore. Like, it was just pouring, and I got soaked so badly. And if you want to know how badly I got soaked so badly. You guys know that wolf hat that I was wearing? I got soaked so badly that, like, literally a full 24 hours later, that hat was still all wet. That's basically it. It's like that all my armor, everything like that, my whole Legion armor, it was just all still wet, like, 24 hours later. That is how bad I got soaked that day. So that's what I'll say about it. It's just the rain just sucked. Will you make a video at the Fallout event? Yes. But my video is gonna be more of a prank. So what I basically did at the Fallout event, because I was cosplaying as Volpes, and as you guys know what Volpes did with the lottery in Nipton. So he basically gives, in the game, he gives out lottery tickets to people in the town, and the lottery tickets, they basically say, like, you either get crucified, or you get, like, burned alive on a bunch of tires, or you get your legs smashed in, or you get spared. So it's either you get spared, your life gets spared, you get your legs smashed, you get burned on a bunch of tires, or you get crucified. And what I did was I basically walked around the Fallout event dressed as Volpes, and I was just giving people out lottery tickets. and I was just basically saying to them, like, oh, you can win the gift of life. That was what I was doing when I gave people the tickets. But I recorded that video, and I will I'll have that video up, the prank, a little bit later on this week. But that was that's basically what we did with that. Yeah, SoCal got flooded warning as well. Yeah, and the thing is, I did not expect Las Vegas to be that wet of a place. Like, I did not think that Nevada could get rain like that. Like, I've never, this is my third trip to Nevada, and this is the first time that I've seen rain. So I did not think that Nevada could get, like, rain like that badly, but apparently there was, like, some really big snowstorm that was, like, in Mount Charleston, which is, like, the mountains that are, like, right above Vegas, and what happened was, because of that, because Vegas doesn't really get snow, when it went down toward Vegas, it just turned into a giant rainstorm, and that's, basically the whole backstory, but the rain was just, sucked so much. Yeah, and the organizers did try with the event, but they just didn't have enough tents for the rain, and it was just bad. It was that. So all of us got excited this year because this year it was supposed to be 3 days instead of 2 days like it always is. So they gave us an extra day, and a lot of people were really excited for that. But we only really got 2 days because one day was just completely ruined by the rain. Like, the rain was just really, really bad. And also, here's a tip that I'll give you guys. If you ever do go to the Fallout event at in Good Springs, literally, if you want to go to the general store or like the saloon, if you want to go to those places, the best tip that I can give you is to go immediately, like, when they open. Like, because me and my friends, we were there from, like, I think it was like 8:30 a.m. that we got there. And so we didn't make the same mistake last year, because last year we went and hanged out a little bit, and then we were like, oh, we'll go on the line later. And then the line was, like, literally, like, half a mile long. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, that's how long the line was. It was ridiculous, like, how long that line is. And when people go into the general store, they take their time. Like, and, like, the line will not move until, like, another person leaves the store, and there's, like, people that are gonna be in this, like, people could be in the store for, like, 5-10 minutes. So, like, people are gonna really take their time in there. And so because of that, you're on this line with, like, you probably have, like, 200 people in front of you. And you're waiting, and it's just, the last time I was in line, like last year, I was in line for 2 hours to go to that store. That's how long, this year, we were in line for, like, more, it was, like, more 30-40 minutes because we got there a lot earlier, and then, like, the lines were just long. So that's the tip that I would give, is to, go on the lines, right at the start, so you don't deal with that stuff. But yeah, and the line was really bad for the bus too. The bus line, like, getting back on the bus, because the first day we took the buses, but then the second day we were like, we're not gonna take the buses anymore. We parked like a mile away from Good Springs, and then we walked there because we were like, I'd rather walk like a mile. I'd honestly rather walk a mile than be stuck in line for an hour. So that's at least I'm doing something. At least I'm walking, getting some exercise. But yeah, that bus line sucked too. Which pill will you take? Blue pill, get Reddit Online's biggest update ever. Red pill, time travel to November 2026 to play GTA 6 for the first time. Oh, that one's easy. Blue pill, get Reddit Online's biggest update ever. Because because GTA 6 we're gonna get in a year anyways, and so I'm not really in a rush for that. Red Dead Online, we've been robbed of content on this game. Like, Red Dead Online deserved content, it did. So honestly speaking, like I'd want to get some updates on Red Dead Online, play something. So we're gonna get GTA 6 right up, regardless, but Red Dead Online, fine, we're not necessarily gonna get updates. Will I ever go to New York Comic Con? I've never been to a Comic Con before. I'm considering maybe going to one. And you guys want to know something? I want to go to, I'm thinking about going to the West Virginia Fallout event, because there is going to be one in West Virginia, and I actually really like playing Fallout 76, I do. So I'm enjoying playing the multiplayers, especially playing co-op with friends. But if I go to the West Virginia event, though, I don't know if I want to be Legion again, because that kind of wouldn't really make much sense, like the Legion in West Virginia. What I wanted to go as is, I was thinking about either going as the Free States, that's a faction in Fallout 76, or maybe going as one of the Crater Raiders. I know that rhymes, but that's what they're called, Crater Raiders. They're like one of the main factions in the game, but the Raider outfit, there's one Raider outfit in the game that I really like. I really like this Raider outfit, but I don't know how I would do the cosplay for that. Like, I have no idea. It's like the one outfit, it's the Raider Skinner outfit. I think that's what it's called. It's like the guy has like these big, fur boots, and like this big, like, kind of like fur coat, and he has like a hood over him, and he has like the two horns in like the hood. Like, I really like that Raider outfit, and I'd love to do like a cosplay like that, but I have no idea how to make an outfit like that. I'd have to research a lot of stuff to do that one. Let me see here. And thank you, Shadow Narwhal. To be honest, just get Black Ops 7 from Game Pass. You'd be better off. Also, if I were to get into Fallout, you down to meet up next year? And will you play Hitman M&M DLC? I didn't get to play the last Hitman DLC. I know people have been asking me for that. I'm sorry, I just didn't get the chance to do the last Elusive Target. But this one, I will. The M&M one, I'll do the M&M one. This one's gonna be kind of funny. Yeah, M&M Slim Shady one. But yeah, I'll do the new one. I just don't know when I'll get around to it, but I'll do it before it expires. So I'll do it. And thank you, Blinded Eagle, for being a member of my channel for 2.5 years. Massimo Maduro didn't have the makings of a varsity athlete. Thank you, Composite Creativity. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks, man. Can I do a community stream one night where you have open panel viewers can join through video chat? How would that work? But if you're asking me would I do like a chat where I would voice chat with viewers and stuff like that during a live stream? Probably not. The reason I wouldn't do that is because while I'm not saying that you guys here in chat would do it, is that what would happen is, if I was just video chatting with just people, viewers that could just join me in video chat with me, I would have somebody that would join in the video chat, and they would probably be wearing something really offensive, and they probably would say something really stupid in the in the video call. And then what would happen is that would go as a live stream, and then that'll also make me look bad. So that's ultimately why I don't why you never really see me playing with like voice chat in games, is stuff like that, because I used to do streams where I did voice chat in games like years ago. If you watched my channel years ago, remember when I used to do streams of voice chat? But what happened is, when I did streams of voice chat, I would have people that would join in, and they would say like extremely offensive things. Like, they would just say the N-word, say racist things, just screaming things during the streams. And at that point I said, okay, I'm not playing with game chat anymore. And so like, it was so many times where people would just say dumb racist things in the chat that I was like, I'm just not gonna do like voice chat and stuff like that in games. So that's ultimately why I don't really have voice chat on in games when I play. Whenever you do hear like voice chat and stuff like that in games, like you hear other players, there are people that I play with a lot, people that I recognize, I know, so I know they're not gonna do stuff like that. But that's ultimately why you never see me like voice chatting with random people on in streams, because people say dumb things in the chat, and that's ultimately that. Omegle or whatever was ruined because of that. Omegle? Who's that? Salvador did 20 years in the can and took the Venezuelan dictator. Timeline got FW. Oh, thank you, Jonathan Perez. I'm sorry I didn't see your milestone chat earlier. Hey, Pro, good day. It's been a while since I last watched a stream. What's the next game after GTA Liberty City Stories? Will it be Yakuza Kiwami 1? No, it's going to be Black Ops 7. So I have to finish Black Ops 2 and Ghost of Yote. But then we're gonna do Black Ops 7 really quick, and then right after we're done with Black Ops 7, and Black Ops 7 is probably not gonna be a long, playthrough. It's probably gonna be like 4 or 5 parts. But when I'm done with Black Ops 7, we're gonna do Yakuza Kiwami. So like the second that Black Ops, and doesn't Yakuza Kiwami Remaster come out in December? Something Yakuza comes out in December, right? Isn't it Kiwami 1? Thoughts on Bruce Lee? Thank you, Exquisite Vibes, for the super chat. And hey, Jonathan, thank you also for that milestone chat. I don't really know much about Bruce Lee. I just know he was an actor that did a lot of, martial arts fighting, but I really don't know much about him. Did I get everyone's super chat here? What if Claude was in Manhunt instead of Cash? Oh, that would be kind of interesting. And Claude would be kind of a scary, guy in Manhunt because he wouldn't really say anything, so you wouldn't hear it. Hey, Professional, I hope you're doing well. I have a fun GTA question. Who would win in PvP, you or Gilly Master? I'm not much of a PvP guy, so Gilly Master would probably beat me. If we were doing planes, just aircraft, like plane to plane, Gilly Master would just destroy me, because I'm not the best when it comes to planes. If we were doing snipers, I would have a better chance. If we were doing helicopter to helicopter fighting, I think I would do fine because I'm good with helicopters. But he could probably do pretty well against me because he's good with aircraft. If we're doing straight ground, shooting combat, he probably would beat me in that. That's it. I'm not terrible at ground PvP, but I'm not the most amazing player at it. Gilly's much better than me at that. So Yakuza Kiwami 1 is coming to PS5. When is Yakuza Kiwami 1 coming to PS5? What date? Can somebody tell me? What day is it coming? Everyone will get your popcorn. We're watching Pro Suffering in Black Ops 7. Thank you, Cube, for the super chat. What's the most amount of money you would spend on a good gaming laptop? That's a very tough one. That's a very tough question to answer. Laptop is probably the thing I probably wouldn't cheapen out on, because it's something that I'm going to be using for years to come. But I do, what was it, I want to, I want to buy, what was it, I want to buy a property, I think probably a townhome in Anchorage, Alaska, maybe, near the end of next year, or maybe, in 2027, and if I do that, I'll get another gaming laptop, but I don't know exactly how much I would spend on that. Maybe, I don't know much about laptops or how good they are, but I would probably just ask my friend, one of my friends, he's really good with PCs, really good with computers, and I would probably ask him what is the absolute best gaming laptop for me for editing videos, processing everything in 4K quickly, and being able to run any game I want at basically max frames. But if you're asking me on monetary value, probably around 2,000 or possibly more if I was going for a really good gaming laptop, because I would want something that is going to last me for basically more than a decade. I want something that's going to last me for a decade basically when I buy a gaming laptop. So probably around there. That's it. Is that a vacation home? Yes and no. So Anchorage, Alaska is a city that I'm really interested in. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on it. I really like the city. I haven't been there personally, but I think I'll like it because I've seen so many videos on it. I've also seen the videos and the bad things in it, but I think the good things outweigh the bad. What I wanted to do is I wanted to buy a townhome and a decently nice townhome in Anchorage one day. It's kind of maybe a vacation place because in the summertime it's really nice there. But also I was thinking about also buying a rental out there. So property that I could rent out there also. Laptops don't last for a decade. Well, I don't know then. I don't know. This gaming laptop that I'm on right here, this one I bought in 2021. So I'm still using this one 4 years later. So I don't know if it, but... But I'm telling you though, like I said, I don't know much about computers, guys. I don't. But if I'm spending $2,000 on a laptop, that laptop better last me 10 years. That's what I'll say about it. So if a $2,000 laptop is not gonna last 10 years, they shouldn't be charging $2,000 for it. That's what I'll say about it. Did I stay at a much better hotel this time? Yes, much better place. But yeah, truth be told, guys, I don't really know much about computers. I don't. You know, a lot of people think that I'm like an expert on computers and all this, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm a YouTuber. I know how to edit videos, so I do all of my editing on myself. So like all of my videos that I put out, nobody edits that for me. Some my shorts, the ones that are my shorts, like some of them, my friend, like, you know, and moderator Zombfected has edited those for me. But like literally 99% of like my videos, I have edited myself. So like all of my videos besides some of my shorts, I have all edited on myself, and I've, you know, done all my thumbnails I do myself too. So I don't have anybody do thumbnails for me. But despite me, like, you know, knowing how to edit videos and create thumbnails, when it comes to actually computer stuff, I don't know much about that. I don't know what the best RAM is. I don't know what the best graphics card is. I know that's kind of embarrassing, but I've never been much of a computer guy. I don't even remember what the graphics card that I have is in this computer. Let me actually look that up. What graphics card do I even have in this computer? It says in this computer I have an 11th gen Intel R core. Is that the graphics card? Because this is a gaming laptop. But I like I said, I'm not a computer guy, so I don't even know much about that. That's your CPU. It is. Okay, wait. Damn. Oh, I think I have it. It's in the GPU, right? That's it. It says I have a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060. Is that good? That's what I have in this computer. Okay, let's see here. What is the Warriors? The Warriors, I'm gonna do that sometime in the winter. So it's been a heavily requested game. We could do it sometime in the winter. Black Ops 7's campaign makes Cringe Row look like the Godfather in terms of writing. What? I love the way you describe that. But is TK from Dead Rising 2 a psychopath? You mean Tyrone King? Kind of. He's very selfish, which psychopaths pretty much are. He has no empathy for others, doesn't care about anybody, he's only self-interested, he just manipulates and uses people. Kind of. But I would say the person the person in Dead Rising 2 that displays the most psychopathic behavior, do you know who that is actually? It's not actually TK, it's actually another character. You know who that is? This is an Asus laptop, by the way. Yakuza Kiwami 1 comes out December 8th this month. So that's when we'll start it. We'll start it December 8th. No, it's Sullivan. Actually, Sullivan is the most psychopathic character in Dead Rising 2. And the reason I say Sullivan is the most realistic to a psychopath is because when you think of like psychopaths, you typically think of some crazy deranged guy killing people. But psychopaths are basically people that have no empathy. So they have no empathy. They're very self-interested people. They only care about themselves. They're very manipulative. So psychopaths can very easily manipulate people, put on fake personalities. Psychopaths can pretend to be a very friendly person, but in reality they're just using you in a very evil, despicable person. And when you really think about that, Sullivan has all of those traits of a psychopath. He's very manipulative. He puts on, a fake personality. He primarily thinks about himself. He has no empathy. He's killed, thousands of people. He does not feel about that at all. He has no regrets. He claims that he's doing it to save lives, but I think that he's only doing it because he's following orders from, what is it, Phenotrends as a company. So Sullivan, I would say, is probably the most accurate portrayal of, a psychopath that you see. But yeah, Sullivan was, a scumbag in Dead Rising, in Dead Rising 2. So if Sullivan is the most psychopathic, would you say, Leon is more of a sociopath? Yeah, I guess. Leon heavily respected Chuck at one point. He did. So that's what I'll say about, Leon is... I mean, psychopaths can respect people, but he had a general, like for, Chuck before he kind of went mad. What is the difference between the Yakuza, Yakuza Kiwami is coming out on PS5 December 8, right? What's the difference between it and, the current Yakuza Kiwami version? What's the difference? Is there anything different? Spec Ops The Line is a game I've been requested to play for a long time. I will play that somewhere in the spring. In the springtime, we will do a bunch of Special Forces games. So in the springtime, we'll do Ghost Recon Wildlands, and we'll also do Spec Ops The Line. So we'll do a bunch of Special Forces games in spring. Who's worse, Claude or Cash? Oh, that one's easy. Claude. Because at least Cash cares about his family and tries to save his family's life. Is Wade from Hitman Absolution a psychopath? Wade, isn't Wade isn't Wade that South Dakota gangster that, what's his name? What's his name? He hires him to, kidnap Victoria. Isn't that the guy I'm thinking of? Isn't that Wade? Is that Wade? It's the guy who shoots up the hospital, right? Or the nuns' home. He was the guy who shoots that place up, right? That's Wade. Your channel is evolving. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So is Wade a psychopath? Kind of. Yeah. I mean, you see the way when Wade, for example, was very sadistic, because psychopaths are sadistic people. They a lot of times enjoy the suffering of others. When he was actually torturing that nun and he was actually enjoying it. So yeah, he does display psychopathic behavior. Hey, Professional, my birthday's coming up, and I got a question. Who would you trust more, Dutch Vanderlyn or Raul Menendez? Well, when you're describing Dutch, oh crap. When your question is a little bit hard for me to answer, because when you're describing Dutch, are we talking early Red Dead Redemption 2 Dutch? Are we talking more crazy late Red Dead Redemption 2 Dutch? Or are we talking full-blown insanity Dutch in Red Dead Redemption 1? Which version of Dutch are you specifically asking me about? Saturday we're gonna do the GTA stream tomorrow instead of Sunday, because I have just something to do on Sunday. So tomorrow we'll do it. Did I know that the Viet Cong threw grenades at rescue helicopters and boats rescuing people during the flood season in 1964 in central Vietnam? No, I did not know that specifically, but I know that the Viet Cong were notorious for grenade attacks. That part I did know. The Viet Cong would actually throw grenades and at public places a lot of times in South Vietnam. The Viet Cong were notorious for attacking churches. For example, churches and private schools. So if it was like a church or a private school, they were notorious for throwing grenades at people. The Viet Cong, if you were a nun or a priest, you had a very high probability of also being kidnapped by the Viet Cong. But that's the thing, is that the Viet Cong did some really horrible things. The Viet Cong was a terrorist group. It was like the Viet Cong were like the most evil group during the Vietnam War. There's no doubt about that. But you have like a lot of dumb people out there where they basically say like, oh, the Viet Cong were freedom fighters and they were fighting against like the the evil imperialist Americans, blah blah blah. This, like, you'll hear like all of that communist propaganda like constantly a lot, but you never hear about like the atrocities that the Viet Cong did, especially against their own people. But the Viet Cong killed thousands of Vietnamese people, Vietnamese civilians. They did some pretty brutal things. Can you play Deus Ex Remastered in February? Yes. How do you pronounce that game, by the way? It's not Deus Ex, right? It's pronounced a different way, right? Can somebody tell me how I pronounce it? But yes, I will play it. I know that the remake is coming out in February, and I never played that game before, so yes, I'll play it. I'll do a playthrough of it. I seen it on the PlayStation Store. Deus, Deus, Deus. Okay, Deus. So that's Deus Ex. Okay, Deus Ex. Okay. So you mentioned like the theme from GTA Liberty City Stories. So more than likely, you know the theme is a remix of the 1972 song March Popakov by John Kakavas. No, I never knew that. If it's a remix, couldn't they sue for that? Thank you, Vicky. I haven't played Black Ops 7. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua? Honestly speaking, what was it? I don't know, because I watched that fight last year, the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Like, I watched that fight last year. I did. But the thing about that fight is, I was like literally like 100% confident that Mike Tyson was gonna win that fight. Like, I know that Mike Tyson was like an older guy, but like I was confident he was gonna win that fight, and I was so disappointed in Tyson's performance. Like, I thought that Tyson was gonna corner him, like get him in the corner and just like literally beat the crap out of him. I thought that was gonna happen, because that's what Tyson would do, is he would get people in corners and just literally lay into them. But like Jake Paul beat him, and I don't know if that fight was real or if it was staged or what, but like after I seen that fight, I don't know what to think anymore. So like I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul wins this next fight coming up here. Mike was 58 and Jake is an active young boxer. Sure, but it's Mike Tyson still. He might be old, but it's Mike Tyson. That's who it is. So literally, you know, most people could not defeat Mike Tyson in a fight. The vast majority of people, even, you know, younger fighters. So that's what I'll say about like about that. I know Tyson was older, but I don't know. I don't know if the fight was rigged or not. I'm not an expert in that, but that fight was 100% fake. You could literally see Mike pulling back knockout punches. But you know what I will say? You know what the best fight that night was? If I watched all the fights that night, the best fight was that female boxing fight. You know, when it was the Puerto Rican girl versus the Irish girl, when like it was like the fight right before Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Like those two girls, like that was like the best fight all night long. Like that went on for like the full 12 rounds, and they literally beat the crap out of each other. Like that was like really, you know, that was like a really, really good fight. So and there are like there's these dumb people out there that like make fun of like women's boxing, but like the women's boxing was like the best fight that night. Like they were really good fighters, and so they did really well that night. I think that the Puerto Rican girl should have won that fight. I don't think the Irish girl should have won that fight, because I felt like she hit her better. I remember that, but that was I don't even remember their names. But that was, I did think the Puerto Rican girl won that fight. I don't think the Irish girl should have gotten the win for that. What did I hear about Call of Duty Black Ops 7? I heard that it was absolutely terrible.
You're a goner.
What is my current best research gameplay for something you dig around for context for storytelling? Well, here's the thing is, when I when I play games, I don't really research their lore or anything really like that. When I do the playthrough, at least, like I know all this lore at the top of my head. So like when you guys watch me play the GTA Liberty City Stories playthrough, that one that I just did recently, I did not everything that I said in those videos, I didn't really have plans for that. So it's not like I just randomly like planned to talk that lore in the middle of the missions. It's just as the missions go on, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this, and I would just basically explain what happened. It's just at the top of my head. So it's not like I just planned that out. The only things I do plan out in some of my playthroughs are like the history stuff. The history stuff I do plan out, so like I plan on talking about that. But like when I'm talking about like the lore itself in the game as I'm going through it, I don't really plan that out. That is just something that just that's as I'm going through the game. Singularity. I can look into that, Gunner. I missed super chats. Whose super chat did I miss? Do I think that America is a greedy country? Thank you, Lamar, for the super chat. The thing is, I wouldn't say like America is a greedy country. I would say greed exists in America, definitely, but like to say like America as a country is greedy. I don't know. Like the thing is, greed is a massive problem in America. It is a massive problem. I would say like there are people that are just like they worship money. Like it's literally like it's like that's all they think about is money, like nothing else. I will say one thing I really hate when we're talking greed specifically, right? One thing I really hate about like American culture is I just hate how in America it's considered lazy to sit while you're working. Like because in America most jobs, if you sit, it's considered lazy if you sit. The only jobs where it's not considered lazy is if you work in an office. If you work in an office, it's perfectly fine to sit and nobody judges you. But if you work in any other, job, if you're like, electrician or something like that, and you sit while you're doing your work, or you are a cashier at a store and you sit while you're doing your work or something like that, like you get judged for stuff like that, and that I just don't like. Like when I was a cashier, when I used to work in retail, I could do all my work sitting down, and not only that, I would be more productive sitting down because I wouldn't, be destroying my back and my legs by standing for 8 hours straight. But in America, you ever go into stores in America and you see how like in American stores no cashiers sit. You ever notice that? Like I know there are a few companies here and there that like their cashiers sit, but unless you have a medical condition, for the most part you cannot sit. You are not allowed to sit. Like that's why most American stores, when you walk in there, nobody's sitting. Everybody's just basically standing up. It's disgusting. It's stupid, dumb like that. I know in my parents' country in Poland, cashiers are generally sitting when they walk in the stores, but in America everybody's standing around. It's stupid. But I will tell you the worst greed that exists in America. You know where the worst greed is in America? It's not necessarily in stores. It's not necessarily in like gas companies. It's it's not even necessarily in factories. The greed where you see the most, not even in property, like in rent and stuff like that. You know where the most amount of greed is? I think most people can agree with me in this. The healthcare. Healthcare is the place where you will see the most amount of greed. It is just absolutely ridiculous. Like this, the amount of just stuff that they charge you for in healthcare, it's just out of control. It is just ridiculous. Like I think it's like $5,000 for like an ambulance ride. It's like what the f? Like just for that. So that's what I'll say about it. Is it's just the healthcare. That's the place where I think you'll see the most amount of greed, and it truly is disgusting. So that's what I'll say about it. Is it's just government, yeah, government you'll see some greed too, but I would say it's just that. Oh no, I'm not a socialist or anything. No, I don't like socialism. The only thing I'm saying is that in healthcare, you'll see like the most amount of greed. Like you'll see the hospitals and doctors, they will charge for like the most ridiculous things. The insurance companies, like there's just so much greed in that. It's ridiculous, and it's also messing with people's health, which is, you can make the argument it's kind of immoral.
This one'll crack. Blubbering and hollering for mama all the way home. It's yours.
Yeah, that is a bit weird, Gunner.
I guess I'll settle down one of these days.
Well, I don't want to do another GTA 3 playthrough again, because GTA 3, I think I did a playthrough of it, what is it, 2 times now, I think? It was 2 times I did a playthrough of it, but I will come back and do a playthrough of GTA 3 one day. Have I seen most UK homes? Oh, I know in the UK there's they're ridiculous things that they're charged for. I thought you said you were good at flying planes in games like GTA Online and Battlefield 1. Yeah, when it comes to like dodging stuff, like if it comes to like, if I could take a plane and fly it through like a tunnel in GTA Online, like I could do that and not crash. But when it comes to dogfighting is something else. Like getting up behind people and like dogfights and stuff like that, I'm not good at that. So that's where, that's what I'll say about that. In Battlefield 1, I'm really good at the dogfighting. Battlefield 1, I could shoot down other planes really quickly, but yeah, the other ones not really. LCS is weakest in the 3D universe. Villain's not memorable to me. Also, I think it was a crime not to include Joey. Vice City Stories to me is better. It's probably because they couldn't get a hold of the actor. That's probably it's why Luigi doesn't come back. You ever notice how Luigi's not in GTA Liberty City Stories? It's because they couldn't get a hold of the actor. That was the reason. Did my previous message not go through? I don't think I saw it. What's your question? What's your question, Ellie? What's the question? Do I have any Black Friday retail horror stories? Black Friday, I can't really remember any bad things really happening. The only thing I remember on Black Fridays is this, crap ton of customers. That I remember, obviously. But other than that, not really. Not a lot of, just extremely busy. I don't really remember, specifically, horror stuff that happened on those days. Usually, whenever the horror stuff would happen in retail, it was actually like a day you weren't really expecting it to happen. Would you play a Call of Duty-style military game in World War II where the playable characters are the Axis, the protagonist could be German, and the other could be Japanese? I would only play a World War II game where you play as the Axis, like a single-player game, only if it's something like Battlefield 5, like that one. Because in Battlefield 5, most of the campaigns in Battlefield 5 sucked. Like, the vast majority of them were terrible. But the best campaign in Battlefield 5, ironically, was the German campaign, like the Tiger campaign. It was actually like the best written one, like that one. So like, if they did like some storylines like that, I think it would be like, more okay, where it's like you're playing as like a character that's just like maybe drafted or something like that, like you didn't have like a choice, like to join the German army or something like that. And like, because like that was like the story of the Tiger tank, is that like the tank commander, he was like a veteran, but he didn't even like the Nazi party, he hated the Nazis. And the driver also hated them, but then like the younger guy was like the most radical, and he was the guy who ends up killing like the driver. And oh my god, we got idiots here. Like this parlay this here, but yeah, it's like I don't generally like World War II games where you can play as the Axis. I don't. And because if the only way I would be fine with that is if it was like something like Battlefield 5, where it was like it was where you played as like a character that wasn't like did not support that ideology or anything like that, and it was like Germany's last few weeks, so like before the country collapses and stuff like that. And the reason I also take that really personally is because my parents are from Poland. Germany destroyed my parents' country during World War II, and so for me it would be very difficult to like play like a single player game where you play as like the Germans or something like that. I don't. It'd be a little difficult for me to do something like that. What am I trying to think of here? Yeah, that's basically what I'll say about that. Thank you, Ellie, for the super chat there. happy early birthday, Menacing. There was I'm trying to think of something. There is one World War II game out there. And it's a co-op game also, but I never played it co-op. I beat the whole game single player. But the main character in the game is actually a German soldier during World War II, and the campaign was actually pretty well written. It was a pretty good storyline, but in the campaign, even though you're playing as a German soldier, I wouldn't really say that you're like that you're Axis, and the reason I wouldn't say that is and the name of the game is called War Mongrels, if anybody knows it. In War Mongrels, there's a few playable characters, but the main playable character, like the main character in the game, is a German soldier. And what basically happens is the game takes place in like Poland in like summer of 1944, and it's like when the Germans are on the retreat and the Soviets are just pushing more into Poland. And what happens is you desert. So like you're a German soldier and you desert from the German army and you're like escaping. And it's a stealth game where you are basically you're trying to avoid the Germans and you're trying to avoid the Soviets too. So you're stealth killing both the Germans and the Soviets, and you witness both. You witness like the Soviets committing war crimes in Poland, and you witness like the Germans committing war crimes in Poland also. So the game was called War Mongrels. It's a co-op game. It's also available on PlayStation. But it's I beat the whole game. It was made by the same people who made Hatred. If anybody knows Hatred, they were the same people who made that game. But yeah, that was a decently written storyline. It wasn't like a very good selling game, but the story was pretty decently written in that. Pro, Black Ops 7 has no checkpoints. So what happens if you die? Honestly, our hospitals give you no treatment, yet they charge you for being in the patient room, even if there are no doctors to come to you. Yeah, it's just and I don't know what the solution to that is. I'm not an expert. There's much smarter people than me, to deal with stuff like that. I know more about stuff like the economy and stuff like that, but when it comes to healthcare, I really don't know what the best solution to stuff like that is. Yeah, I don't know, but I just know what we have right now is not doing it. No socialist, but you have to understand why people turn to it. To an extent, I can understand why people turn to socialism because socialism gets popular in countries historically that are in poverty. So like countries that are poor, where there's a lot of poverty, socialism gets popular. And the reason for that is it's obvious. It's because the people grow up in such poverty that they think, oh, it can't be any worse. And they think, oh, it's like a system where there's more equality, there's more fairness, stuff like that, and that's why they support stuff like that. So that's why you see these revolutions happen in places like Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, specifically in the Americas. But I will say though, now anybody who grows up in a Western country like today in like 2025 and they support something like socialism, I don't understand that at all. Like zero. I don't understand it. And the reason for that is because it would be very different if you're in the Cold War. If we're like in the Cold War, it's like the 60s or the 70s, and you grew up in a poor country and like you support socialism, there could be more of like an argument on why somebody would support it, because like I said, people didn't fully understand it, and it was like they thought it would be like better time. But like now we have all the research, you have all the internet, you can look up everything these socialist regimes have done throughout history, and like so like if you grow up in like a country like America, where you pretty much have access to everything that you could want, and somebody's still supporting that, I don't really know what they're thinking personally. That's my view on it. Thank you, Connect, for the super chat. Johnny Brother could track down Trevor in GTA 6. What do you mean, Connect? Thank you for the super chat. Well done on finishing GTA Liberty City Stories. Thank you, man, for that. Black Ops 7, if you're AFK, you get kicked in campaign. What? Is it true that the campaign is Warzone? Is that actually true? It's like a Warzone thing? I did actually play A Way Out. Go on my channel and look up A Way Out. I did a playthrough of it in 2018. A vending machine business? Maybe. I'm thinking about that one. Makarov, the most evil villain that I've seen in a video game would be Hitler in Sniper Elite. But that's, Hitler's a real person. But if we're talking specifically like, video game villains, like villains that were designed in video games, the most evil villain I would say in a video game that I've seen personally probably have to be Makarov in the old Modern Warfare game, because Makarov is, that was like this, imagine all the horrible things Makarov did, and everybody, Makarov got millions of people killed. So that was like, Makarov was, I'd say Makarov is the worst one. Where Dwayne lives in GTA 4, is it a real place in New York? I think that where Dwayne lives is supposed to be Harlem. That's what I think it's supposed to be. Were any Unit 737 members and Imperial generals punished after World War II? Not really, no. There were some generals that were captured by the Soviets and they were punished, but the vast majority of them fled before they were captured by the Soviets, and so none of them were really, ever punished. When it comes to Unit 731, what happened was the Japanese scientists involved in those disgusting evil experiments, they were actually given amnesty in exchange for handing over their research. So if they handed over their research to the U.S. government, they were not prosecuted. And the thing about this is, I don't care how smart these guys were. Like, I don't care how smart somebody is. The moment you do something like that, war crimes, you're doing disgusting evil things like torturing people to death, you deserve to get executed for doing something like that to others. So like, those Japanese scientists should have all been executed for that. They should have been hanged, but the Nazis did it after the war. So that was disgusting that a lot of them ended up getting away with the stuff that they did.
You can't be back there. Move! What in hell?
Who? Stevek? Who are you talking about? Bankers are the underrated villains of wars. Well, it depends what war you're talking about. Oh, Xbox 360 is 20 years tomorrow. Really? Yeah, you're right on that. 20 years old. Damn, that console. Oh, you made a super chat? I'm sorry, Blinded Eagle. Just saw the story of someone in Indianapolis stealing a car to take it to a job interview where she applied to be a stripper and she gave it back. What? Thank you, Blinded Eagle, for the super chat. Oh, and I missed a few thank you, Eli, also. Sorry if you have already been asked this, but did you watch Dan Houser and the Lex Friedman podcast? I watched most of it, Future. Thank you for the super chat. I didn't watch it all, but I watched a good chunk of it, yes. Oh, Sarah Payne, the history commentator. Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, she does those shorts a lot of times. I know that. Yeah, she does those shorts where she talks about, like, Hitler and Stalin. Yeah, her most common subjects are Hitler and Stalin. Yeah, I know, I know that one. Yeah, she's generally good. I think she's a good historian. Yeah, I like her. The thing about her is she when she's talking history, she explains it in such a good way, but also a very interesting way. Like she explains like everyone's perspective, like what's going on. Yeah, so yeah, Mao Zedong. She talks a lot about Mao too. So yeah, she's a pretty good history teacher, I would say that. I also like Victor David Hansen, I think his name is. He's another guy who he does like a lot of shorts. But he also does like really good ones too. Have you visited Coney Island in GTA 4 in real life? Oh yeah, multiple times. I even did a video on it. I did a video visiting Coney Island in real life. Just go on my channel and look up Coney Island. Just go in the search bar and look up Coney Island, and I have a video on it specifically, actually. Well, I'm not happy, Elijah, but I'm just gonna stay away from the politics. I don't want to talk about that. In the Mafia series, which characters do you consider to be psychopaths? Don Teresi. Because he did not care about anyone. He manipulated everyone, used everyone. He didn't even love his daughter, truly. So Teresi, I would say, is, probably the most accurate psychopath in the Mafia series. Well, I don't know if you would say that El Salvador is like a full-on dictatorship, because about El Salvador is like he like the media nicknamed him the coolest dictator or whatever. I think that's a term that the president got, and he just took that term and he started calling himself that, the coolest dictator. But I don't know if I would really say that El Salvador is a dictatorship. It's more of an authoritarian country. I would agree with you on that. But I wouldn't say it's a full-on dictatorship, because you can like protest against the president of El Salvador and you're not going to get arrested. Like, in most dictatorships you get arrested for something, protesting against a dictator. But in El Salvador you don't really get arrested for protesting against him. He just arrested like, thousands of gang members and just, put them in prisons, and so he has reduced the crime rate a lot in his country. But let me see. You said 2 years ago you would play Spider-Man when you had time. Do you not want to play anymore? Not trying to rush you. I'm sorry, Feline King. It's just a lot has also happened in 2 years, and there's a lot of games that I've played, and I'm gonna get to it too. And I will tell you this: I'll play Spider-Man before GTA 6 comes out. So I can't give you an exact date because I don't know, but GTA 6 comes out in November, next year. So between now and next year, I will play Spider-Man. So I will do it. There's a lot of games I gotta get to before GTA 6. The bar for a dictator is low. My friend thinks Malay is a fascist. What? Like, literally is like the president of Argentina advocates for like small limited government. Like, he's a libertarian. He even describes himself as an anarcho-capitalist. Like, he doesn't even believe in government. And like people are calling the guy a fascist. What? Because a guy who advocates for like liberty all the time, like that's I just find that funny. It's like they clearly don't know anything about him. I just find that funny. Pro is over for Xbox with Halo coming to PlayStation. That's like God of War coming to Xbox. Yeah, well, I'm actually happy that a lot of the exclusives are finally coming to PlayStation. I'm happy with that, but honestly, I don't think exclusives should even exist. I think we should be able to all play, whatever games we want on whatever console. Thank you, David, for the super chat. No problem, Feline.
Earn some more money, huh?
Okay, in the Godfather series, who's your favorite character? Oh, that's easy, Tom Hagen.
Carry on like this.
What I like about Tom Hagen is I like how calm and diplomatic he is. I can't even talk to him, what the hell? It's like glitching out. Yeah, I can't even talk to him. I don't know what. My parents live in Nassau County, which is it's a county that's like a suburb of outside of New York City. It's not part of New York City, but it's like small towns in Long Island outside of New York City.
Fine, look at that. Real tough guy. With a gun in your hand.
Yakuza 0 Director's Cut comes out next month. Also, the stupidest thing is you cannot get a digital upgrade for the content. You have to pay $70 for the game again. What? That's stupid. Will I play 007 in March? Yeah, I'll play it. I see your super chat, or your comment, Blind Eagle. I see it. Do you use Discord? Yeah, but not a lot. I'm not a big person on Discord. I don't. The thing is I know some people might laugh at me for this. But like, I don't even know how to add people on Discord. Like, I figured it out recently, like the button at the top where you search up there. But I'm like I'm not the most technological, best person with technology and stuff like that. I'm good with stuff like history. Like history, I could just talk for hours and hours and hours on just commentary. But there's a lot of new things in technology that I'm not the best with. I'm not even the best with phones. Like, phones, I don't even know that well. Like whenever I'm buying a new phone, I would just ask my friends like what phone I should get because I don't even know much about phones.
C'est parti. Ah, I was wondering when you
My favorite protagonist in the Mafia series.
Dutch, of course. All good
I'd have to think about that one.
is superior, eh? I have found a buyer who will appreciate it. And most important, they will
I would say my favorite protagonist in the Mafia series is probably Enzo. And the reason for that is because of everything that he went through. Just like, you know, being a slave, getting his freedom, you know, working his way up. I would say that, Bro, if Microsoft decides to exit the gaming market, what do you think will happen to video games? Oh no, I hope that doesn't happen. Here's the thing is, listen guys, here's what I'll tell you about this. Even if you are like the biggest PlayStation fanboy on this planet, you should never want Xbox to collapse. You should never want Xbox to die. I don't want Xbox to die, even though I have an Xbox Series X, but I am 95% of the time on my PlayStation. But I don't want Xbox to fail. I want Xbox to succeed. The reason I want Xbox to succeed is because it's a competitor. And the thing is, in capitalism works the best when you have competitors. Competitors are what drive down prices. So when you have two competitors, they're going to be competing with the consumer over the best price. If Sony is literally the only one out there that is like, you know, I know there's Nintendo, sure, but when you really think of competitors, you really think of Sony versus, you know, Microsoft. And if Sony is the only competitor out there, there's no Xbox games, right? You know what Sony could do? Sony could basically start charging $80 per each game, or $90 per each game. And they could do that because there's nobody, there's no competitor. Microsoft could basically be like, you know, no, we're going to charge, you know, $60, $50 for games. But, you know, could be like, oh, because now we have no competitors, we can charge whatever we want. And you don't want that. And also, not only does competition drive down cost, so it gets passed on to you, the consumer, on top of that, they fight over the best products, the best systems. So, like, Sony won't put in as much effort into their consoles. They won't put as much effort into their products that they offer if they are the only one out there. So, because they have no competitors. If they're constantly competing with somebody, they have to compete over who has the best console, the best features, you know, etc., stuff like that. Have I visited Suffolk County before? Many times. I've been to Suffolk County many times. Do you think Micah Bell is a sociopath? No, I think he's a psychopath. The thing about here's the thing about El Salvador. What the and let me answer the super chat first here. Do you think it's okay to not care about whatever's happening to the government? Just do better in life. Honestly, it's so frustrating to live now. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan Perez. I try to ignore a lot of the drama, the political drama that's happening, and just get out of my head and just forget about that stuff. And like video games are some of the things that bring me joy, and I don't have to worry about stupid stuff like that happening. But the one thing I will tell you though is you can hate politics, but the one piece of advice I'll tell you is when it comes to vote. Regardless of how you vote, whoever you support, vote, because there's a saying that we have in America: you might not care about politics, but politics unfortunately cares about you. So you might not care about politics, but then somebody gets elected and starts doing some really dumb things that start affecting you. And so that's basically it. Is I would say block out politics entirely, but then when it comes to whenever elections are, that's the only time I would get interested in some stuff. about El Salvador, vote for what? They were both the same. Kind of agree with you on that, but I guess there are some small differences that do count. But I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying is that just when it comes to voting, just everyone should just vote. You exercise your right. That's you at least do that. Uh, hey Pro, love your video on Henry. Changed my opinion on him. I hate he didn't visit Vito or apologize. He is the Mafia version of Ryder. Yeah, and that's the thing is like a lot of people like I personally think that Henry is the most overrated Mafia character, like 100%. Like out of all of the Mafia characters out there, he is 100% the most overrated one. Like people like him so much, but I don't even know why people like him so much. Like Henry's a scumbag. Like he didn't even visit Vito once in prison. Like Vito got sent to prison because of his stupid job. He didn't visit Vito once in prison. Didn't apologize. He didn't even pay for his mom's hospital bills. In the Mafia, when you get arrested, typically the guy who you sent you on that job is supposed to basically pay for your family, to basically keep your silence. That's basically how it's supposed to work, at least. But Henry didn't even do any of that stuff, and then Henry doesn't even come visit Vito when he gets out of prison. He then comes visit Vito after his boss gets blown up, and then he's begging Vito for like a job. So he's just an opportunity. He's a scumbag. I never liked him personally, but I think that this, so many people like Henry so much, but he's just a rat and a backstabber. That's what I'll say about him. Is your PlayStation avatar an eagle? It's an American eagle, yes. Thank you, Savage Gaming. And the other guy was asking me a question about El Salvador. Listen, here's the thing is, what the president of El Salvador did worked. There's no denying that. It's a fact. Because crime has fallen 95%. Like, if you look at, like, violent crime charts in El Salvador, the crime rate has dropped dramatically. Like, El Salvador used to be one of the most violent countries on the planet, but now it's actually the safest country in the West. Like, El Salvador is a safer country than America is. Like, I would feel more safe in El Salvador than America, because it is such a much more safe place now because the president's policies. But what I will say about that is that what he did in El Salvador will never happen in America. That will never happen. You will never have policies like that in America. The reason is because in America that's illegal. Doing what he did is against the Constitution. Because how did the president arrest so many gang members in El Salvador? Because the gangs used to rule El Salvador. It's not necessarily the cartels. It's like a bunch of smaller gangs, but they had so much power, and a lot of them had connections to the cartels, like in Maria Salvatrucha 13, which is MS-13. But these gangs terrorized and controlled El Salvador. Like, El Salvador was the murder capital of the West before, Bukele came into power. What did he do to reduce the violent crime? What he basically did was he had created a new police force. And the reason he created a new police force was because the old police force was so corrupt. It was corrupt and inefficient. And so he created a whole brand new police force of people that he could trust. And then the second thing is he built giant mega prisons. So he built these giant, huge mega prisons. The third thing he did is every single person that had a gang tattoo got arrested. So if you just had a gang tattoo in El Salvador, you'd get picked up by the police and you get put in this prison. That's basically what happened, and that's how he basically reduced violent crime by like 95% in El Salvador. Is anybody who had a gang tattoo, he picked them up and took them to that maximum security prison. And about these gangs are not just like some small time gangs. These gangs are literally extremely evil. Like these gangs, to join Maria Salvatrucha 13, you have to kill an innocent person. So like to join a gang, you have to kill an innocent person. So like these guys are stone cold killers. So it's not like these were just some regular street gangsters. These were killers. But the thing is these gangsters in El Salvador, these guys are so stupid. That's what I'll say about that, because the gangsters in El Salvador are very different than the gangsters in America. The gangsters in America are much smarter than the gangsters in El Salvador, because the gangsters in El Salvador, you know what they do? They have tattoos of their gangs all over their bodies. Like literally their chest, their back, their arms, even their face. Even the gang is tattooed on their forehead. I'm not joking. Like literally they have the gang sign tattooed on their forehead. Like the gangs in El Salvador, if you look pictures of them, they literally have tattoos all over their face and like their bodies and everything like that. Like gangs in America don't really do that stuff. Like, you might have some biker gangs that have, like, their tattoo and stuff like that. Maybe, like, the Crips and the Bloods that have, like, a few tattoos here and there. But they're not going to have, like, full facial tattoos of, like, their entire organization all over themselves. But, like, that's how the gangs in El Salvador operated. And the reason that they got so cocky with that and operated like that for so long is because the police never went after them. The police never arrested them. But that's basically how he found all the gang members. And Surprise. When you put every single person that has a gang tattoo in prison, crime is gonna drop. Surprise, right? But that's basically what happened. Now, did he profile people? Technically, but he profiled everybody that had a gang tattoo. So if you had a gang tattoo, you'd get thrown in prison in El Salvador. That's basically what happened. So now, and the reason I say that that's illegal in America is because in America, that's considered part of your First Amendment rights. It is. This is what people don't understand. In America, there is no such thing as a charge that is for being in a gang. So in America, you can't be arrested for being a member of a gang. There's no such thing as like association with a gang. There's not really a charge like that. The only time there is a charge like that is if it's like parole. If like, for example, you're on parole and one of your conditions of the parole might be like you cannot associate with like other gang members, and then you associate with them, you could get, your parole revoked and get sent back to prison. But there's not like a specific individual charge of like just being involved in a gang. So like it's not illegal to, in most cases, it's not necessarily illegal to be a member of a gang, but to commit crimes as part of a gang, yes. Because being a member of a gang is technically freedom of association. It's technically First Amendment. And just like having a tattoo, even a gang tattoo, like on your face or your arm or anything like that, that's considered free speech. It's considered your First Amendment rights. Your body, you want to have like a gang tattoo, you can. So in America, you would never see anybody get arrested for like gang tattoos or anything like that because it's your First Amendment. The First Amendment basically protects you. So that's ultimately why stuff like that will never happen in America. You will never have like, people arrested for gang tattoos because the Constitution basically, it's your First Amendment right. As some people might think that's messed up, but that is your First Amendment right. It is. So that's ultimately what it is. To arrest people for gang tattoos, you'd have to change the First Amendment. That's basically what it's. So like what they did in El Salvador is not going to happen in America, stuff like that. And yes, I know some people were telling me that some innocent people got arrested in El Salvador. I understand that. He arrested thousands of people. But the crime did drop dramatically. It did. Like, if you just look at the chart in El Salvador, like the violent crime, just go on Google if you don't believe me. Look up El Salvador violent crime rate, and you just see, like, it just dropped by 95%. 95% it just fell down. So his policy did work in the end. It did drop down crime and, drop down a lot of it. And he has, like, a 90% approval rating in the country right now. He is very, very popular. So he took one of the most violent countries in the world, and it's now one of the safest countries. He's not a perfect leader, obviously. He does, I'm sure he's done some bad things, but the crime rate has dropped dramatically. Let me see here. It's why gangs don't do colors no more. Well, the reason they don't do colors is because they get targeted. So if you're wearing like the color of the gang, you get targeted. That's the primary reason. Try playing GoldenEye N64, Xbox or Nintendo Switch. Thank you, Assassin, for the super chat. Thank you, man. That's actually been a requested game. I did play From Russia with Love, 007. Did you know that one? That game was a popular one. He would definitely be one of the most evil people in history, Ryan. What's wrong, Brandon? Have you looked into the game Dispatch? A little bit. I saw it in the PlayStation Store. It's like a storytelling game where you're like managing former villains that have been like reformed and stuff like that. Where is the poster? Is the poster like gone or something? What happened to the poster? I have Moonshine. Oh, you have Moonshine, Brandon. Okay, let's help you with your Moonshine. Hold on a second here. Okay, Brandon, can you invite me to that and I'll help you. Pro, can Xbox make a comeback at this point? Any product can really make a comeback, but they have to offer something really good. You know what I think was the you know what I think was probably the worst decision a company has ever made, probably that I've ever seen. You know, the worst decision. Thinking of it like business practices. Like a lot of people were getting pissed at like Microsoft for like raising the price of Xbox Live or I don't even know if they call it Xbox Live anymore, but the Xbox Online, which is not a good thing. It's definitely a stupid move, and it's going to cost them more money in the end. But I will say, you know what the stupidest business decision I've ever seen, the stupidest thing I've ever seen a company do? It was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there was this company called BlackBerry. I think BlackBerry still exists. But BlackBerry phones used to be really popular. Like when I was a kid, like you had like the phone with the keypad, and so that was like revolutionary at the time, and like people really liked BlackBerries. But have you ever noticed how BlackBerry died? nobody uses BlackBerry anymore, it's because BlackBerry refused to adapt. What happened was Apple came out with the iPhone, and the iPhone had a touchscreen. And what happened was when the iPhone came out with the touchscreen, BlackBerry said that's stupid. We're not gonna, make a touchscreen phone. We're only gonna keep doing our keypad thing. And that was probably the stupidest business decision that I think I've ever seen a company ever do. And then BlackBerry, completely collapsed because of that, because they refused to, make a touchscreen phone. And I think they ended up doing a touchscreen BlackBerry, but it was too late. If they made a touchscreen BlackBerry, they could have competed with iPhone, and they could have been a big competitor today. But they didn't want to, make a touchscreen phone. They didn't want to compete with that. And that went really bad for BlackBerry. But I remember that was when I was a kid, and then BlackBerry had that disaster. That was like that. Stupid business decision. What a Blockbuster not buying Netflix. Oh, I almost forgot about that one. That one, yeah. Pro, what's the worst thing George Washington has done? That one, I think I can answer that one. The worst thing Washington did, I would say it was probably his greatest mistake, his biggest mistake, and that was not abolishing slavery. I think that was his biggest mistake. The problem with Washington is when Washington was president, Washington's main focus was to keep the country together. Like, he was just obsessed with keeping the Union together. And that's one of the reasons that he never really fully went against slavery. Even though he himself, I know he himself did own slaves on Mount Vernon, but he wasn't necessarily an advocate of that. He didn't necessarily support that system. He wasn't like as open as like other people, like especially, the Southerners, like a lot of Southern plantation owners, so they were very open about that. Washington, it was like he more struggled with that. But what I'll say about it is Washington was like a very weird person when he was like president. Because, like, if anybody has ever watched the series John Adams, like, John Adams is a pretty, John Adams is a pretty accurate depiction of George Washington. If you watch John Adams, there's a scene in John Adams where, Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton are arguing. Because Alexander Hamilton wants to expand the size of the government, and Thomas Jefferson wants to keep the government smaller. And so both of them are arguing, and George Washington is the president at that time, and George Washington is just sitting in the room, and he's just not even saying anything. What George Washington does is he starts complimenting both Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, and he basically tries to keep them both from arguing. That's the type of person that George Washington was. He was like a very quiet person, and he didn't necessarily want to get into conflicts. He was even when he had to, and when it comes to Washington, like I said, is he was so concerned with the Union fragmenting that's why he never really fully went against slavery. But I kind of disagree with his view, because the thing is, George Washington is the most popular president in American history. No, Washington wasn't a pacifist. He wasn't a pacifist. He was a soldier, but he was just a guy that did not want to get involved in conflicts generally. Like, he was not an argumentative person, but here's what people don't know about George Washington. George Washington was the most popular president in American history. Like, when people think of popular presidents, people generally think of like Teddy Roosevelt, for example, who was like a very popular guy. But George Washington was even more popular than Teddy Roosevelt. He was the most popular president in American history. George Washington had a 95% approval rating. 95% approval rating. The current president that we have right now and the last president, both of them don't even come close in their approval ratings to George Washington. George Washington had 95%. So that's basically what I'll say about this. No president has come close to George Washington's. Like, even having a 70% approval rating these days is amazing. Like, even having something like that is a record. But, like, nobody has come close to George Washington's approval rating, which is 95%. So the point that I'm getting at here is that if George Washington wanted to abolish slavery, I think he could have done it. I think he could have, because he was such a popular president. He was so beloved, so popular, that if he basically came out against slavery, I think that there might have been a rebellion here or there in the South, but I think that that would have been about it. I don't think it would have been like Civil War, level. Because the thing is, it's George Washington, the founder of the country. And if you went against George Washington, the founder of the country, like, that would look very bad for you. Like, if you were going against, like, America's, greatest hero, the guy who saved the country from the British, got us independence. So, like, if George Washington had came out against slavery, so many more people would have come out against slavery because it was George Washington, because they looked up to him so much. So that's basically what I think about George Washington. Is I think that he could have ended slavery if he was president. I do think he could have, and I think that's his best. That's his worst mistake that he's made. Do I think George Washington was a great president? Yeah. And I think he was a great general, and he was the founder of our country. But just because George Washington founded our country doesn't mean that he's a perfect person. Doesn't mean that he hasn't made mistakes. So that's ultimately it. I think he was a great leader overall, but I think that his biggest mistake was not ending slavery when he could have done it. So that's ultimately what I think is it was his haunting legacy, because then you see what ended up happening. 70 years later with the Civil War, you see what ended up happening. So that's I would really appreciate your help with the Watch Dogs Platinum. What do you need help with? What trophy specifically? Yeah, I know that. I know that, Michael. Like, John Adams, for example, never owned any slaves. That's true. He never did. What's his name? Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin only owned one slave, and he got that slave from his family, but then he freed the slave. But then he never owned a slave ever again. And Ben Franklin was like very against slavery. Like, the guy that's on the $100 bill. He was extremely against slavery, like very against it. And if you want to know how anti-slavery Ben Franklin was, Ben Franklin wrote in his will that if his kids don't free their slaves, they're not going to get any of his money. So he was a fairly rich man, and he wrote in his will to his kids, if you don't free your slaves, you will not get any of the inheritance. That's what he wrote in his will. So Ben Franklin was generally a really good guy, really moral guy, and he wasn't a perfect person as well, but he was extremely against slavery. A lot of people don't know how anti-slavery he was. Did Assassin's Creed 3 depict George Washington accurately? Yeah, I would say so. Assassin's Creed 3 was actually a pretty, even though it's a lot of it is fictional, I think it was a pretty accurate depiction of George Washington, because the way Assassin's Creed 3 portrayed him is it portrayed George Washington as generally a good person, a person like a good heart, but also a flawed person, a person who's made mistakes and done bad things. And I think that's the perfect way to summarize him. So it portrayed him as generally a good person, but a flawed person as well. And so that's what I think is I think Assassin's Creed 3 did a pretty good job of portraying him. I think it did. Thoughts on the penny coin being discontinued? I kind of agree with it, because nobody really uses pennies anymore, and people don't even really use coins anymore. Like, they really don't. Like, I never see people use coins anymore. People always use cards nowadays too. So like it's always bills and stuff like that. Coins people use in like machines and stuff like that. They really don't pay with them much. Uh, Ulysses S. Grant didn't go to the theater with Lincoln because his wife had an argument with Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd. I didn't know that. That I didn't know. I guess you learn something new every day. What are your thoughts on Bad Bunny getting backlash for doing the halftime show at the Super Bowl next year just because he's Spanish? What? What backlash? I don't understand. For what? For doing a show? I don't understand. What are you asking me? And who's Bad Bunny? Correct me. I don't know. I don't know these celebrities, so I don't know celebrities that well. So I don't follow all this celebrity stuff. Was it like a singer? He's a Latino singer? Oh, okay. Well, first time I'm hearing of him. Oh, start my posse. Okay. What is the worst mistake each Mafia protagonist made? Um, the worst mistake that Enzo made is he didn't leave with Isabella right away. That's the worst mistake that he made. He was hoping that he would gain Terese's respect and that Terese would accept him. But he should have just left immediately. That was his mistake. What is the worst mistake Tommy made? The worst mistake Tommy made is probably not clipping Salieri. I think that he should have killed Salieri. The worst mistake that Lincoln made. When it comes to Lincoln, Lincoln didn't really make any mistakes when you think about it. I mean, people would say that he refused Marcano's offer, to run the Hollow, but he didn't really do anything wrong by refusing that because Lincoln was loyal to Sammy. So I can't really think of anything wrong that any mistakes that Lincoln made. Mistakes that Vito made, the stupidest one going into the heroin trade with Henry. Oh, what are the trophies, Kieran? Let me see here. I might play poker. Let's see here. Where far is... What's the closest poker place to me here? Might go to Flat Neck, actually, for this one. Here. Yeah, I'll play Halo when it comes out. If someone's doing a song in Spanish, I don't know why people would get mad about that. That's I don't get that personally too. But you said he was a Latino singer too, so yeah, I don't get that too. Would I play? Wait, Halo 1. Yeah, I'll play it. An anime cosplayer died because she was being discriminated against. What? What happened? If I could go to one dictatorship, where would I go? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like live in a dictatorship? I prefer not to, but if I had to choose, it would be pretty easy. What dictatorship would I like to live in if I had to choose? Singapore, easy. I think Lincoln's biggest mistake is killing Frank Pagani. Maybe in a way, but it's not like Frank was an innocent person. Like Frank never wronged Lincoln. That's true, but Frank knew who he got involved in, and when Frank, the people that Frank got involved in with, that was it was ultimately up to him. He knew the risks. Yeah, I've heard of Sindako Chronicles. I do want to play it. Was the Russian Civil War justified? Yeah, I would say so. But here's the thing is, if I was a Russian during the Civil War, would I have rebelled? Yeah, 100%. But that doesn't mean I support the communists. What people don't understand about the Russian Civil War is whenever people think of the Russian Civil War, right? They basically think the monarchists versus the communists. That's what they think. But it wasn't as simple as that. There was a lot of factions in the Russian Civil War, and did the Tsar have to go? Yes, the Tsar deserved to get overthrown. The Tsar was a scumbag. Like Nicholas was a scumbag. He was, he was a terrible leader. He destroyed Russia. He had to go. And he didn't want to leave power, so he had to go. But the communists were, not necessarily any better than the Tsar was, and the communists were the faction that ended up, winning. But there was a lot of factions. Like, for example, there was the Russian Republicans were fighting, and Russian Republicans. This has nothing to do with, like, for example, Republican Party. This is what they were called. They support like a Republican government. But there was the Russian Republicans, for example, and the Russian Republicans. What did they want in Russia? They wanted a republic, no more monarchy, and I generally don't like monarchy. So like I think that if the Russian Republicans had won the Civil War, would Russia be a better place? Yeah. So that was if Russia had transformed into a republic at that time, it would have been better. And there was the Provisional Government of Russia, which was kind of like a constitutional monarchy. But the problem with the Provisional Government of Russia, the biggest mistake they made, is they didn't want to pull out of World War One. And the country was going bankrupt because of World War One. People were getting drafted, dying in World War One, and it was just stupid. And so that's so ultimately that's ultimately that what I'll say about it. So was this Russian Civil War justified? Yes, but it wasn't justified for the communists to win. It was so people were right to be pissed on Russia. They were right to rebel, but it's just unfortunately the wrong faction ended up winning. That's what I'll say about it. I honestly really hate new YouTube policy updates about the bots and the scam. YouTube massive hypocrite. Wait, what new policy with bots and scam? Thank you, Agent Reaper, for the super chat, and thank you, Doug Amons. Thank you for the thank you for sponsoring the channel. Now you can't leave, Sonny. That is from that's from Bronx Tale. Yeah, and the Russian Civil War was ultimately a good thing for like Poland and Finland, because Poland and Finland both got independence because of the Russian Civil War. Do I like the Assassin's Creed games? The old games. I just haven't been able to get into the new games. I gotta play the Darkness games one day, yeah. Thoughts on Alexander Lukashenko? He is the dictator of Belarus. But here's what I'll say about Alexander Lukashenko. He's a very weird guy, and the reason that Lukashenko is a really weird person is because he is the only dictator that I can think of that in history has ever admitted to being a dictator. Is Belarus a dictatorship? Yeah, it is. But the thing about here's what people don't know. And this is when you think about this in history. In history, literally 99% of dictators in history never admit that they're a dictator. That's what people don't know. Like when we have like people like Stalin, Hitler, like Mao Zedong, Mussolini, you think of these people, you think dictators, and they were dictators. But the thing is, these guys never called themselves dictators in public. In private, they knew they were dictators, but in public, they never called themselves dictators. So what did they call themselves? So dictators always had. I just won a bunch of money here. Look at this, $20 won this. So look, dictators throughout history have always called themselves something. They always create some kind of title for themselves. And the reason that they create a title for themselves is because being called a dictator is a bad thing. So nobody wants to be called a dictator. Even a dictator doesn't want to be called a dictator. So dictators always create some kind of term for themselves. So let's go throughout history. For example, Mussolini. Mussolini didn't call himself dictator. You know what he called himself? The Duce. You know what Duce means in Italian? It means the leader, but it's like a fancy term for leader. That's what that basically means. So he was called the leader in Italian. He wasn't called a dictator. He was called a leader, but he was a dictator. What was Hitler called? Hitler was called the Führer, which in German basically translates to the same thing. It basically means like the leader, but it means like specifically for like Hitler. What was Stalin called? Stalin wasn't called dictator. You know what Stalin was called? Stalin was called general secretary. That's what he was called. But general secretary basically means dictator in the Soviet Union. So that's what was general secretary. What was Mao Zedong called? Mao Zedong wasn't called dictator. He was called chairman Mao. So that was the term. And Kim Jong-un isn't called a dictator. You know what? Kim Jong-un is called, what's the term that he uses? He uses, supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's his term, supreme leader, which is, so Kim Jong-un isn't even called a dictator in his country. He's called supreme leader. Fidel Castro was called, general secretary also. I'm trying to think, like, a lot of these dictators, like I said, they always have a term specifically that's used for them, like a specific term that's to not be called a dictator. But when it comes to Lukashenko, the guy that was asking me about Lukashenko earlier, Lukashenko is the only dictator that I can think of that has ever publicly admitted that he's a dictator. Like, no other dictator has ever actually, admitted to being a dictator. They never, like, if you ask them, are you a dictator? They never say I'm a dictator. They always say, oh, I'm the elected leader of this country or whatever. That's what they always say. But Lukashenko is the only dictator that actually admitted to being a dictator. Like, he was in an interview with a reporter, and the reporter asked him if he's a dictator, and he's like, yeah, I'm a dictator. Like, he literally said that. Like, I've never seen it. He's brutally honest. So that's like, I've never seen like a dictator actually admit that they were a dictator, but Lukashenko is like one of those few people that has admitted that he's a dictator. And when it comes to Lukashenko, I do have family that live in Belarus. My family that live in Belarus, I don't really know them. They're like distant family members of my dad. But my dad has like a few of them on Skype, but now Skype has been deleted. But he used to talk to them on Skype back in the day. But generally about them is that when it comes to Lukashenko, they're my distant family. They're very friendly, but when it comes to Lukashenko, like they never wanted to talk about him. Like they were just nervous. They didn't want to talk about him. So that basically tells you all you need to know about Belarus and about Lukashenko himself. So it's not he's not the most evil dictator on the planet, obviously, but he's still a dictator. So he's not necessarily a good guy. He suppresses, free speech in his country. He has political opponents arrested. He has protests shut down. So, there's worse dictators than him, sure, but he's not as bad as Kim Jong-un, for example, but he's still a dictator at the end. Okay. I got really good cards, but the problem is I don't have any pairs. I'm gonna fold here. This is too risky. What is my favorite faction in Fallout New Vegas? I would say probably the Powder Gangers, because I generally like criminals. I also like the Omertas, like the Mafia. The Omertas, I like them a lot. But if we're talking like main factions, like the big ones, my favorite big faction would probably be Mr. House's faction. Probably that. Yeah, so I'd say Mr. House, probably. Oh, Narcos Pizza. We got a YouTuber in here. Hey, what's up, dude? I don't think I've seen your channel before. Hold on a second. Let me... Will I stream Drug Dealer Simulator on Thanksgiving break? I'm going to come back to Drug Dealer Simulator. I'm going to stream it again. I just don't know when. I'm going to stream Mafia the Old Country this week coming up. So tomorrow we'll do GT Online stream. And then in the middle of this week, we'll do Mafia the Old Country, the free ride DLC. But hang on a second. Let me see the Narcos Pizza. Let me just look at your channel because I've never seen your YouTube channel before, but you're a YouTuber. What reset law in Indonesia? Hold on. Where is... Oh, there you are. Let me see here. Narcos Pizza. What a... I never heard of that. That How we add here? See what kind of content do you do? You do like content. What is this on like TV shows? It's Narcos Plaza. Oh, I'm sorry. I read it too quickly. Why was I saying pizza? It's Narcos Plaza. I'm sorry, Narcos Plaza. I'm sorry for calling you pizza. My bad there. I read it too quickly. I'm sorry. That's what happens when I read too quickly. I mess things up. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can win this hand here. There we go. Look at that. Ha! Oh, he rage quit. Nice. Look at that. We have doubled our money. Okay, I'm gonna leave here. We have gotten some really good hands. I'm pulling out of the game here. Would I ever make a Let's Play of the Midnight Club series? And what do you think of the theory that Enzo's the grandfather of Joe Barbaro? I don't really think that. I think if that theory was true, there would have been more evidence for it, but it's just general speculation. So, no, and Midnight Club, yeah, I gotta play them. I remember that thing from Sopranos, my pizza never hurt nobody. He says it in the most Italian accent, also. Would I support Mars in its Revolutionary War? What do you mean, like Red Faction? Yeah, well, like the Red Faction games? Yeah, well, like they were generally the good guys in those games. And the EDF were oppressing them. Do I support the Patriot Act? Absolutely not. It's a violation of the Constitution. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It's a violation of your privacy. No, absolutely not. That act needs to be repealed. Who would win in a fight, CJ or Tommy? Or CJ versus Claude versus Tommy versus Claude? Here's the thing is, what people don't understand is when you're comparing these GTA characters, it really depends on what type of fight it is. Is this a gunfight? Is this a hand-to-hand fight? Because if you did a hand-to-hand fight, right, of like let's say we do all the 3D era GTA characters like Tony Cipriani, Vic Vance, CJ, Tommy Vercetti, Claude. If we do a fist fight of all those 5 guys, who's going to win that? CJ. There's no doubt in my mind, CJ. CJ knows the most amount of fighting styles, and he works out the most. So CJ would win a hand-to-hand fight. There's no doubt about that. A gunfight between all 5 of those characters, who would win that? Tommy Vercetti. I think that Tommy Vercetti would win the gunfight. I think out of all the characters, I think we can agree Tommy's the best at shooting out of all of the characters. You know, Tommy killed 15, hitmen that went after him. So that was, so I think Tommy Vercetti would win a gunfight. CJ would win a hand-to-hand fight. You gotta also remember, Tommy Vercetti took down, literally Tommy Vercetti was backstabbed, betrayed, and took down the entire Forelli family also in the end. So, I think Tommy Vercetti is the best at shooting guns. Victor Vance was a soldier. Shouldn't he win? Victor Vance was not a soldier for very long. You have to remember, maybe a year or 2. So that was, Nico was actually a soldier longer than Victor was. Didn't CJ take out pro hitmen and soldiers? Sure, he took out the NSA agents that Torino wanted him to kill, but that was I still think Tommy would be the best at shooting guns. Oh, Wade is just an idiot in Hitman, Guilted. I would highly recommend those series about Colombian and Mexican drug cartels to you, Pro. Brilliant acting, cinematography, soundtrack. I subscribe to you, by the way, Narcos, Plaza. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see an open world game that's focused specifically on the cartels. I know we got Ghost Recon Wildlands, but I would like to see a game where you play as the cartels. So I'd like to see like an open world game like that. Maybe they could set it in Texas. Texas would be probably a good setting for that. What time am I streaming GTA tomorrow? I don't know, but I'll stream it a little bit later than I started today. Yes, Ryan. I need to tail someone without being detected and win some online race. The tailing trophy should be pretty easy. You I don't ever do tailing much, but the tailing, just join somebody's session and just pretend to be like an NPC car. Just be an NPC car and just slowly follow them, and that's it. Most players don't notice it that you're following them. So that's it. The race trophy might be a little bit more difficult to do, but the tailing one should be easy. But what's your PSN anyways, Kieran? Is Enzo the Vic Vance of the Mafia series? In a way, maybe. He didn't necessarily want to be a criminal. Thank you, Tom Angelo, for the super chat. For my channel, Dave Smith. Yes, Raccoon. We're doing 2 streams. The members-only stream tomorrow, and then also the GTA stream. Yeah, but Fallout New Vegas I'll do next year. I want to do the Fallout 3 DLCs before I do anything else.
What is wrong with you?
Iran is a brutal dictatorship. Like, they, the supreme leader of Iran and those, the Iranian, like, I don't even remember the name of the political party that's in power in Iran. It's like the Revolutionary something is the name of their political party. But they have basically destroyed Iran, or I shouldn't even call it Iran. I should call it Persia, because that's the country's true name. They have destroyed Persia. Like, the thing is, if you look at, like, videos of, like, Persia in the 1970s, like, Persia in the 1970s looked like a very advanced country. It looks like a very nice country to live in. It does. And so, like, Persia would be one of the richest countries today if it was not for that stupid revolution. That revolution destroyed Persia. It did. They literally sent them decades back in history. So, like, that revolution was, like, the worst thing that happened to Iran. It was, like, that's just terrible. Thank you. As a fan of your content, it means a lot to me. Well, thank you, Narcos. Well, the Chinese front was very brutal in World War II as well. There's a lot of battles, like the Battle of Shanghai was a very urban street battle. Also, Battle of Nanking was. That was it. Iran mixed religion with government heavily, Mario, and it backfired really badly. Do you have a theory on why the police took such a strange path in your Liberty City Stories playthrough? You mean Salvatore's convoy? It's just a writing in the game. There's not really an explanation for it. Thoughts on Milei, the president of Argentina? I generally like him. I think he's a good guy because he wants smaller government, individual liberty, less taxes, government getting out of your life, and he's reduced inflation a lot in Argentina. So, you know, I'm a libertarian, by the way, so I generally like libertarianism, and He is the only libertarian president in the world. Like, there's never been, like, a major country has never elected a libertarian president until Argentina. And the reason a libertarian won the presidency in Argentina was because people in Argentina were so sick of the protagonists who had run the country for so long, and people were so pissed at the conservatives and also the liberals, and so they basically just voted for the libertarian. And he did a pretty good job as president. He's, brought down inflation heavily, and so Argentina's, getting richer again. It could become a very rich country again. Hey, Professional, I had these two friends that were terrible at GTA. We did a casino heist and failed 15 times. If you were in the heist, what would you do? 15 times. What? That's I don't know. I don't know if I could play a heist if we failed 15 times. I'd be pissed. Is it cowardly to run away from a crazy person, Pro? I was chased by a weird couple. No. It's like literally, if you don't... No, if somebody's threatening you, it's not cowardly to run away. What? Where is Kieran here? By the way, Kieran told me he needed help with Watch Dogs. Did you tell me your PSN, Kieran? But I guess, Denmark might have a libertarian president. I should look into that. I'm gonna be, going here, guys. I'm a bit tired, and I probably want to get something to eat before I go to sleep. But I'm gonna do a GTA stream tomorrow, so tomorrow we will do a GTA stream. I just don't know what time, but we'll do it a lot earlier. Let me answer some questions here before I go. Another stupid decision was when banks handing out subprime mortgages. Oh, yeah, like, you mean 2007? Yeah, that was the housing crisis. I remember when that happened. Who will win in the fight, Tony versus Claude? Fist fight, Tony would probably win. Claude maybe would win the gun fight. Okay, Sultan. Am I a fan of the Hunger Games books? No, I've never read them. I know the movies. I've never watched the movies, but Oh, you did, April? Is it gonna be a date with a grilled cheese deluxe? No. I'm in the mood for... I am in the mood for a burger right now, but I don't have any burgers to eat. Do I read One Piece or any manga? No. I watched some One Piece episodes in the 90s. When One Piece first came out, I was like 5 or 6 years old when it first came out. I actually did watch it. Like, right when it came out, I did watch the first episodes. But then I stopped watching it. And so that was... I never watched it again after that. But I guess I'll be, I guess I'll be going here, guys. Wait, which one, Ryan? 20 years in the can versus 10 years in the joint. Have I watched any anime? I have watched a few, but I haven't watched any recently. Oh, okay, Ryan. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will do a GTA stream tomorrow. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream today. If you did, drop a like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.